Let's welcome Chad Morris with the big call. All right, Kenny, here we go. Hey, sing! Pig sing! Pig sing! Razorbacks! Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chad Morris.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Cannon. Yep. You did great, as always. You did great. How is everybody? Everybody's good to go, huh? Excited? Had my blizzard last night. Actually, really, that's a true story, did. Had the Reese's outrageous blizzard last night. Been eating healthy for about 20 days in camp. And told my wife last night, I said, I got to have a blizzard. So anyways, no, I tell you what a great line of speakers that y'all have lined up. Thank you, first of all, for inviting me and letting me be a part of this, and the impact that y'all have on high school players and high school coaches and college coaches and college players across the country. And we appreciate that. From small college to big college, it really doesn't matter. You know, it's about this great game, and this great game has impacted so many lives. Life touches a life that touches a life. You'll hear me talk about that today over the next hour and a half that we're going to be visiting, so get comfortable. Okay, an hour. But great speakers. You know, I know Coach Anderson's coming up in a few weeks, a great friend of mine and very innovative. Had an opportunity to play against him last year. And you know, this is very, very special, very, very special to be here. And a great crowd. You know, I was told, you know, David texted me last night or night before last, said, hey, look, we just broke the all-time attendance mark. No pressure. Don't let me down. And I said, David, I got you. There's a lot of people that are saying that, don't let me down. And I'm not going to let you down. I promise you, I'm not going to let you down. But, you know, this is, what a great opportunity, a Monday afternoon. And, you know, I looked around here and I'm like, man, don't these people have jobs? I mean, holy cow. But when it comes to kicking this event off, it should tell you how special and what, David, you've meant to this program and this community and impacting lives. So thank you, David, and my short period of time getting to know you and being a part of this. You know, Little Rock has been very special to me in the short period of time that I've been here, and it's awesome to be here. And we just wrapped up camp, and I'll talk a little bit about camp here in just a little bit, but the excitement in this room, coming through and shaking hands and visiting with people, and people asking who the starting quarterback's going to be. Nobody's asked me who the starting place kicker is going to be just yet. Everybody wants to know who the starting quarterback is, but the excitement level in this room matches what our players and what's being felt on the hill right now, and how hard our guys are working. We'll talk a little bit about that and a little bit about camp here in a few minutes. But you know, high school football season starting today, and here in our great state, and you know, this is the greatest time of year, and I've always felt that way. Being in this business, I was told one time by a superintendent and a high school principal, he said, you know, a fresh start's just a year away. And here's a fresh start. Fresh start's on us right now. We got a high school season starting tonight, and you know, so many 14, 15-year-old young men, as my son is, that are starting their high school season and just excited. You know, they get their chance to live out their legacy, and they get to follow those that have played the game. And while they may not be a college football player, man, they get to impact the community. And that's what I am. I'm a high school football coach, and I take great, great pride in saying that. And I know that there's several times people say, well, no, you're the head football coach at University of Arkansas. I say, yeah, I understand that, and I know that, but I'm a high school football coach. And I know the impact that we have on young men throughout our country. And we're at a time in our country right now that we need strong, influential people impacting lives on a daily basis. And for me to be a high school football coach and transition that into college football coaching is remarkable. It's something that I'll never let set to the side. I know we've got some great high school football players from this great city of Little Rock on our team. From T.J. Hammonds to Hayden Henry to Colin Jackson. I mean, we've got several. I think we have 9 on our roster. And so impacting that the Little Rock has, the impact in our program in Fayetteville, the University of Arkansas is huge, and how we're going to continue to recruit this great state. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But we get it. I understand. And they asked me to talk a little bit about football, but they said, Coach, really, they want to know who you are. They want to know about you, and I said, okay, I can do that, and we'll talk some about football. So if you'll bear with me, I'm going to talk a little bit about who I am, who Chad Morris is. We'll talk a little bit about what Arkansas means to me and Paula and Chandler and Mackenzie. And before I get going, I'm married. I've been married for 25 years to Paula. We dated 4 years prior to that. We've got two children. My daughter is a senior at a school in the center part of Texas. That we'll be playing in a few weeks, and I'm not going to say the school, but I went there, and I remind her quite regular that the University of Arkansas pays for that education. So don't forget that. Don't forget that. And Mackenzie, she's going to graduate in May, and she's actually going to come to the University of Arkansas. She's come up here and spent the summer with us and worked in our recruiting office and been around the office, and she loves it. She met some friends and absolutely loves it. And so she's going to graduate in May, come up there and get her master's and work for us. And so she's excited about that. And I mean, she spent more time in Omaha at the baseball games than I did. And so she just absolutely loves it. And quick story about Mackenzie. I'm literally getting in a car. I guess it was sometime early July. And she goes, Dad, we got a problem. And I said, what is it, Mackenzie? That's usually not good when your daughter says it to you. I said, what is it? She goes, listen to this. And it was the Full Tilt Boogie song. She goes, can you believe that? And I'm like, oh my gosh. So from then on, I was singing that song all the way through. So some of you will be sitting there going, okay, I can't get that song out of my head. But no, phenomenal. I mean, how creative, and we appreciate that. But my son Chandler, he will be a junior in high school, and he's got a great opportunity to do some great things, and we're excited for him. And he'll start his high school football season next week. But again, we're extremely excited to be a part of this, as we go in and move forward, just quickly about me, I was raised, and my mom and dad are still alive to this day. Matter of fact, they came up and spent a week with us last week in Edgewood, Texas. I actually grew up in Plano. My dad was a Richardson fireman for 30-plus years, and my mom and dad moved us to a little small town in Edgewood. And there we lived out on a farm, 500 peach trees that we planted, and grew up planting trees and working on a farm and working with cows, and I couldn't quite understand, man, everybody's out and they're playing, they're having fun, they're running with their friends, and I had things to do at the farm. I had things to do on that land before I could get out. And my dad planted these trees, and as all firefighters do, they always got a second job and a third job and a fourth job, and some of them have a fifth job. And so my dad was no different. He painted houses. And we had a farm, and so he taught me the value of hard work. And I'll never forget, and some of you may have heard this story. If you have, just bear with me, because it's really who I am. But we planted these trees, and as you know, if you've ever been a part of peach trees or any type of farming, there's a lot of cultivating that goes on, getting the ground ready. And I couldn't understand. I thought you dig a hole, put a tree in the ground, and let it grow, and that wasn't the way it works. So then when you get the soil cultivated and you get the ground prepped and you get everything ready and you plant the tree, the growing starts to happen, and then you still have to do a lot of work. So January rolls around, and my dad has us out there, and we're cutting the limbs off these trees. And I said, Dad, I don't understand. As the trees got older, they grew. He goes, yeah, we got to take some of these small branches off. And I said, well, Dad, what's our goal here? He goes, well, we're going to raise peaches, pick the peaches, and sell the peaches on the side of the road and make money. I said, okay, great, I understand that, but you've lost me here because we're trimming limbs that will grow peaches. He goes, yeah, I just keep trimming those limbs, and this is how you do it. You thin it out. And all of a sudden, the leaves start to happen, the buds come out, and the blooms happen, and that's always a great time of year in the spring. And I remember my dad just, always watching the weather, going, man, we just can't have a freeze, these blooms. And said, okay, I get it, and we get by the freeze, and we get out there, and we start thinning these trees. We take your thumb, and you get a bunch of blooms on clusters of the end of these branches, and you flick them. I said, Dad, I don't get it. He said, for every bloom, there's a peach. I said, well, again, more peaches. First you had me cutting the limbs off. Now you got me flicking the blooms off. What is it? I don't get it. By the way, we got all the grass that grows around the base of these trees. We got to really get that out and get that soil ready. And he finally says, we go on, we do this, and I ask a lot of questions. As Coach Jameson would tell you, I ask a lot of questions. That's a whole other story. I'll get to Coach Jameson in a few minutes, but I said, I don't get it. And he finally gets frustrated with me. He goes, listen to me. He said, it's not about the quality or the quantity of the peach. It's about the quality. He said, that's what we're about. It's anything you do in life, do it right. And if it's worth doing, if it's worthy of your time, it's worthy of your best time. He says, no difference than selling peaches on the side of the road. He says, so we're going to go to work here making sure we not only provide a peach, but a quality peach for our customers. And I said, okay, I get it. And he said, if you ignore the root of that peach tree, he said, Chad, yeah, you'll have fruit of the tree for a while, but eventually the fruit will dry up. And so it resonated with me, being raised on the farm, my dad teaching me valuable lessons, my dad and my mom, hardworking individuals. They taught me a few things. They taught me, first of all, that it's okay to get your hands dirty. It's okay to sweat. It's okay to get muddy. It's okay to fall down, but as long as you get back up, you make it. You survive, and you keep pushing forward. And yes, you may get a freeze, and it may totally wipe your crop out. But what do? Do you give up? Or do you go back to work? And so he taught me, being raised on that farm really taught me the value of working with cows and just being able to be outside and to go, okay, look, it is hot out here and we got a lot of work to do. And it's okay to sweat, because in life, whatever you're going to get out of it is what you're going to put into it. And what you put into life, you're going to get out. And so a lot of that and my values and my energy level and the way I look at things comes from my mom and dad. So my mom and dad, very influential in my life and my sister's life. I do have a sister, Michelle. She coaches basketball there. She's a head girls basketball coach there in Mansfield. And so we've learned a lot from how to do things from our parents. Outside of my parents, Coaches made a difference in my life. They impacted my life in ways that I never thought could ever impact. I had several coaches, Coach Jameson being one of them. He was just a young coach at the time, and he got to Edgewood, and I was a quarterback, and he was a quarterback coach, and he was really pushing me. But I had a coach by the name of Jack Shelnut. Coach Shelnut was my math teacher. And that was back in the day, when you acted up, you got out in the hallway and here come a board, y'all know what I'm talking about. Nowadays, they don't know nothing about that, all right? They don't know anything about it. But you were taught values and you were taught hard work. And so Coach Shelnut pushed me. He found something in me, and he pushed me beyond who I thought I could become. Now, I didn't always care for Coach. Matter of fact, most of the time, I would get frustrated with him because I felt like he was just on and riding me so much. But it wasn't until later that I realized that he saw something in me that no one else did. And he pushed me. He and Coach Whiting and Coach McInturf and Coach Jameson pushed me. They saw things in me. And with that, Coach Shelnut was my math teacher. Well, I went on to where I graduated from and majored in math and minored in statistics. And it was because of him that pushed me into math and made me realize that, maybe being a head coach or maybe being a high school coach is something my calling is. I got into high school coaching in 1992. I was engaged. Paula and I were engaged, and she had a year left to finish. And so I remember getting into Eustis, Texas. That's where I started out, and I just said, I get in there and let's just see how this goes. I'm not going to be in it long. I'm going to get in the actuarial field. And I'd already taken a series of 3 exams. You got to take 10 exams to get to what they call your fellowship and your actuarial work. And I'd taken 3 and done well. And I said, look, Paula, you finish school. I'll do this for a year, take exams, and I'll get out of it. And along the way, again, my dad being a fireman, I took the FBI exam, I took the DEA exam. I was trying everything I could to get out of coaching. I was. And it wasn't because I didn't love it, because I did. It was because I just didn't know if that was my calling. And it wasn't until later that I'm number 2 on the list in Irving to become a fireman. I already taken the physical agility exam. Hey man, I'm now moving on. I'm fixing to take this, and I was a head basketball coach in Eustis, and had a group of young men come over to my house. Paul and I now are married, and knock on the door, and they come in, and there's probably 8 of them, and they came in and they said, "Coach, what are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm probably fixing to leave to take this job." And they sat in there and they said, "Yeah, you can't do this. You just can't do it. You're making too much of an impact on our lives. You can't do this, Coach." And I said, well, I kind of looked at them for a minute, and I thought, and I listened, and we had a really, really good basketball team, and I was a head basketball coach at the time, and I was like, well, wait a minute. So I stopped, and I said, look, now you're a senior, and you're a junior, and you're leaving next year, right? And you're going to leave in 2 years, and well, what do you mean I can't leave? And they go, well, you just can't do it. You're just telling you, Coach, you're making too big of a difference in our lives and in the way you're pushing us. And it was there, I just kind of realized, you know what, maybe this is what God's called me to do. Impact in my life will impact lives that they'll never meet. They'll never meet. And there's people in here right now today, and I know we've got great people, great former players that are in here, and there's coaches. You're sitting there going, yep, I remember that coach. He was so tough, man. I did not like that guy. He wouldn't even let us have any water for 4 days. Whatever that story is. Okay, you know better. When those stories they grow a little bit now. They used to not let them have water for a couple hours. Now it wasn't a lot of water for 2 or 3 days, and so y'all know how it gets. But you just get that feel. But you go, you know what? He saw something in me, and we all in here are impacting lives every day, positive or negative. Each one of us in here, or a lot of us in here, have children, and I would challenge you, as I was challenged. If you're not talking to your kiddos, who is? Because they're listening to somebody. They are listening to somebody in today's day and age. And I know David left his paper, but he found his phone, right? So they all have a phone. They all have phones. And they're either listening to them or they're seeing it on the phone. And so how do you know your worth? How do you know, as we talk to our players up there all the time, before you leave from playing for me and our program and our coaches, you will know one thing for sure. You'll know who you are in 25 words or less before you walk out that door. Because if you don't know who you are in 25 words or less, society will tell you who you are. And sometimes they'll put your self-worth in what you can do on a football field. They'll put your self-worth in what you can do if you can benefit somebody. That's what they'll tell you. So you better know who you are. You better be able to stand up and know exactly who you are. That look, football is the greatest sport out there. There's no doubt. It's so much. It brings colors and religions and wealth. It brings everybody together. It brings a whole state together. It brings communities together. Like tonight, you're going to see a whole community come together to support young men. And at the end, when it's over with, they're still young men. They're still influential. There's like a sponge. And so knowing who you are in 25 words or less, if you don't know who you are, how do you know who you're going to marry? If you don't know who you are in 25 words or less, how do you know who you're going to go work for? How do you know what is the culture of the business that you want to build your business? What is your culture? If you don't know who you are, you don't know what culture to have. And everybody, every business, every one of these businesses up here in this room have a culture. A culture is nothing more than a belief that drives a behavior that produces a result. So I challenge each and every one of us in here. We all have an obligation. I know I'm on an unbelievable platform, and I know my platform impacts so many households and so many big gyms and garages and parks and community. I get it. I love it. I absolutely love it because I know what we're doing every day is going to impact young men, which is going to impact other people across our state. And we're going to win. We've won our whole life. We've won our whole life. Winning is a byproduct of doing the right things over and over and over. Doesn't mean that you're not going to fall. Doesn't, because you are. And every one of us in here in this business, in your business or in your family, you have fallen at some point in time. Then you're going to fall again. Little news. We're all going to fall again. But in that fall and getting back up, it defines who you are and defines who we are. And so you're going to get an unbelievable product on that field starting September 1st. And it's going to get better every day. because our goal is to get 1% better every day. And if we're doing that, then we're going to be playing our best football at the end of the year. Now, what is it going to look like? Had some guy, as I was walking in and trying to get back at the back, you want to know what the record was. I don't know what the record's going to be. If I did know what it was, I wasn't going to tell you anyways. All right? So I don't know. But here's what I do know. You're going to get our absolute best. And that's what this thing's about, just what this state deserves. There's so many quality people. And I told them I'm not going to talk much longer, but it's important that you hear what I got to say as I close this thing out. This state, these people in this state are so deserving of a great football program. They're so deserving. There's so many great people here. And I'm not just talking about the University of Arkansas. I know we got a lot of colleges in our state. They're so deserving of having a great football program, and whoever you choose to root for. And you may not be the University of Arkansas fan. You may not be a Razorback fan, and that's okay. Be a fan of what we're trying to do. Just be a fan of that. And I promise you, I'm not going to let you down. But this state is so deserving, and so many people. I've rappelled from the ceiling here in Little Rock. I know, yeah, they had me rappelling from the ceiling one time. You know, I've been to the Southland. I've been over in West Memphis. I've been to the horse, watching the horses in Hot Springs run. I mean, I've shaken hands all over this state, and there's one common theme. They're hungry. They're hungry. They're hungry just like those boys that came off that field that are in class right now, or they better be in class right now. Reference that. They're hungry. They understand that no matter who the head football coach is, 4-8's not acceptable. They get that. Everybody's kind of picked, and there's nobody picking this team or us to do much. Good, great. They don't know how hungry you are. The hungry hog hunts best. Let me just tell you that. Let me just tell you that. So, again, we understand the impact that we have, and I promise you, you're going to get our absolute best. And, we had a chance this last Saturday. I'm going to close with a couple things here this last Saturday to welcome former players back. And something that we've done, and I want to continue to. I've done it everywhere we've been, and it'll be on the docket. So those, if you made it, thank you. If you didn't make it, we had a little over 300 there. It's our scrimmage. It's our second scrimmage. Next year, it's on August 17th, 2019. Put it on your calendar, former players. You're always welcome there, but we want to honor you on that day at a former player barbecue. You get to come in and come to the scrimmage and bring your family in to come watch the scrimmage. Nobody else gets to come in. I close all scrimmages down, but you get to come in because you've sweated, you've cried, you've bled, you've laughed. You've been through the ups and the downs. You know what it's like. And as I tell our players all the time, there's been many people that have wore that logo before you. There's going to be many people that wear it after you. And what you do in the moment you wear it defines your legacy. And don't let them down. And understand that the way you do that is just being the best you can be every day. But to see all the former players back and to know that you're giving an award out. I know D-Mac was in there Saturday and brought his family up. And just to be able to come back and to see and to feel the excitement. And we'll see our players be able to look at the former players and go, you know what? They get it. They understand the grind of fall camp that we're going through right now. And so I say thank you. And I'm going to close with this. And some of you, again, may have heard me say this before. But there's three things in life you'll never get back. You won't get back. I won't get back. One, you will never get back time. We won't get it back. When it's gone, it's gone. I was the youngest coach on the staff until yesterday. And I walked in, and I'm no longer the youngest coach on the staff. I mean, I went to a coaching clinic not too long ago and spoke in front of about 2,800 coaches. And I remember walking in there one day and being one of the youngest coaches to come in that building. And I'm like, wow, how did I go from one of the youngest to one of the older guys in the room? Overnight, we won't get time back. I always thought your kids would grow up, but mine never would. I always thought my son and my daughter would stay 6 and 7 years old for the rest of their life. Next thing you know, one's a senior in high school, one's a senior in college, one's a junior in high school. I always thought that your parents might get older, but mine never will. And to watch my parents get older, it's real. We don't get time back. This is something right now that we have a valuable time in our state to get this program back right. Now, number two, we won't get words back. As I tell our players to be careful, not only just what you say, but what you tweet and what you retweet. You can't get it back. It has your name on it. And we have the obligation in words. You can influence people or you can tear people down, and it's by the power of the tongue can do it. People say, Coach, you got that much energy. You always wound up that tight all the time and ready to go and positive. And I say, absolutely. I was asked that question a little bit earlier. And I said, I'll tell an 18-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, look, you will never have more energy than I will. You won't. You may have a little bit more energy in a short period of time, but you won't outlast me. I can promise you won't outlast me. So it's important for my players to understand and our players to understand that the way you approach the little things in life is how you approach everything in life. And so be careful what you say and what you tweet and retweet. And then the last thing, opportunity. We have an unbelievable opportunity to get this program right. We're going to get it right. We're going to get it right one day at a time. We're going to start today. Game planning up there today. Our coaches are game planning, and we'll start tomorrow, our first practice of the week, and we'll go Tuesday and Wednesday, and we'll worry about September 1st on September 1st. But until then, we got a lot of work to do between now and then, and we got a great opportunity. And I know that I have a huge opportunity to get this program right, and I know I'm entrusted with so much across our state, and I will not let you down. And as I close this final thing out, just remember this: a life touches a life that touches life. Whose life are you touching? Go Hogs.
Chad Morris, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next week. Raleigh Williams. Thanks, Coach Chad Morris. Thanks for being here.